Mohammed Farah. He's a lecturer at Bunker Hill Community College in Massachusetts. He is also a compassionate community organizer, analyst, and writer. Mohammed did his studies at the University of Massachusetts in Boston. Please help me welcome them.
Assalamu alaikum. It's always better if you guys, I gotta feel the energy here. I'm excited to be here. And I am both challenged and excited. My challenge comes from, I got a few minutes to deliver what I have to say. My excitement comes from you, the future generation, because the future belongs to you. And that is where my excitement comes from. I'm also happy to be here, that I traveled all the way from Boston to be here, to be in the presence of you. I've got a question for you. And the question is for the young. It is, I'd like to know what legacy you plan to leave behind. What legacy you like to leave behind. Every generation must leave something behind for generation. I know we're in a special time. Our country is gone. We are in this country. We do have education, but still back home is messed up. Everywhere you go, people ask you, you're from Somalia? Oh. Tell me about something about piracy. Tell me about something about Shabab. A lot of times you don't want to answer those questions. You're there to network. But they ask you that question. So I got a question for you. What would you like to do about that question? You can do something about it. You really do. You have the talents, you have the energy, you're young. You just need to put that energy together, channel it right, and do something. The media, how important is the media? The media is very, very important, remarkably important. We know how divisive our media is. Why? Because the drivers, you go back to the drivers. Who's driving the media? That's important. If the driver of the media is someone who's educated, someone who's forward thinking, someone who cares about back home, someone who truly cares about the refugee camps all over the world, in Somalia, in Kenya, we're all over the place. The drivers are important. The media makes sure those educated ones take over the media, and you think about whatever you write affects people's lives. Every decision that you make, someone's gonna die or someone's gonna live. So you don't just blame those who are back home, who are carrying the gun. Those are kids who have no education, kids who are orphans most of the time. If you're an orphan, you know what, Agon, you got nobody. Someone recruits you, you go join the battle. So we're all responsible of what's happening back home, all of us. What can you do about it? The media can do something about it. Voice of America, I'm sorry, I gotta say it. Voice of America, BBC, any other media. If someone is running for any office, you're gonna ask the right questions. What do you have? How will you engage with these people? And don't be divisive. Somaliland, Puntland, anything to do with Somalia, you're part of it. We gotta make sure the lenses that we interpret has to be bigger. You can use lenses that are local. You can say my family, you can say my tribe, you can say, but that's not gonna take you anywhere. If your interpretation is bigger than you gotta make sure your interpretation is bigger than your little clan or your little region or whatever you're from. It's gonna be Somalia. If any Somali gets educated, you're adding value to Somalia. And not only Somalia, you're adding value to the region. You're adding value to East Africa. You gotta think strategically. And that is the generational calling. Really, you can do something about it. You have to understand you are very, very special. Why are you special? Because you have an opportunity to bring peace. We talk about SYL, right? We also talk about the historical guys. You guys are in a special time because Somalia really, really needs you. The reason why we're messed up, because the drivers are messed up, right? If you're in a bus, imagine you're in a bus, you got a driver. Let's say I'm going back to Boston, I got a driver. If the driver is messed up, he's got no GPS, he doesn't know what to do, he's driving back home, I'm sitting. If that driver is messed up, what is the probability for me to get home in Boston safely? It is the probability is high that I'm gonna get into an accident, right? Somalia, the drivers, what's wrong with us is the drivers. We gotta make sure whoever is making decision is the right person. Whoever is surrounding is sitting in the right seat. What do I mean by that? We have to make sure the institutions must have the right person. They also have must have the right drivers. Rhetoric must match the job, right? What is rhetoric? Somalia is a nation of poets, right? We can all speak, we can all talk, but talk will not build a nation. You gotta understand that. We gotta make sure the talk matches the resume, matches the right job, so we can move forward, so we can have our country back. Our country really, really needs us. But you're not gonna be able to accomplish that without first knowing who you are. I don't mean who you are by your tribe or wherever you're from. That's not what I mean. Intellectual. Who are you? What is your capabilities? What is your education level? Who's your friends? How do you engage with your community? That is what I mean. Try to know who you are. Sorry about that. I've got 1 minute already. So you got to understand. I'm now losing my thought process here. You just got to understand that you guys can do something about it. Get an education. You're all young. I can see it. Get an education. Make sure the picture that you have is bigger. Make sure you add value to your life. I am really excited about the kids that were talking the other day. They're sitting right there. Safe. Was it Wake Up Somalia? I'm excited about you. Make sure you work with those young people who wants to do something. Action is what we have to do. No more rhetoric. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you very much, Brother Muhammad Farah. And I think we have a lot to take away from what he said. And right now, if any of you have questions, we have 2 wireless speakers going around, microphones going around. So we have one.
I understand that, you basically reporting on the conflict and everything, and I agree with the brother over there that was saying that, we need to report more positive so that it can kind of motivate the people here. Alhamdulillah, I was fortunate enough to go in 2008, and I was just surprised that I was in Somalia, but it didn't seem like I was in a civil war country because of how safe I was. And there were sections and areas where they had refugee areas for Somalia, within Somalia, and I was shocked to see that there was actually people, the government actually, well, not even the government, that state itself had places for people who were, fled from refugee. Like, I just couldn't believe that I was in the middle of a civil war country. So is there ways that, you can try to, uplift our hope, because we feel like over here there's no hope. I mean, 20 years from now, we don't know, inshallah, we hope that we will have a country, but I feel like, looking at the news, it just brings us even more down, and we're even more depressed because of the news. Is there any way to just kind of uplift our hope and spirit?
Thank you, sister.
Very good point. Do you want to have a go?
I would say there's a lot of good things. There's also a lot of bad things. In order for society, in order to build a society, in order even to build yourself, you look at what's working in your life. What is working? There's something that's working in Somalia. It's not all about bad news. The media concentrates on the bad news because it sells, the dollar. But there's a lot of good things happening in Somalia. If you focus on what's good in the society and you amplify that, a hope will come with it. And that hope, you can do a lot with it. So let me go back to my point. You really have to own the media, your own media. These big media group, it's a good thing, but ultimately you gotta, if you want to build your own house, you gotta be in charge of your own house.
Thank you very much, and I think we have a lot of things that we can take away from this. That is, ensure that you, as a community, that we establish relationship with the media, engage them, give them good feedback, and be one of their audience. And also that in order to empower ourselves, we need to own our own, control our own information, that is owning media on our own, whether it's television, radio, what you have. And I thank you all, and I thank the panelists here, and please help me give them a round of applause.